Good morning, and thank you very much for joining us. I am Yori Folani. It's great to be back. We're very, very busy. The elections, presidential elections, are just about a month away now. And in the midst of all of this, suddenly the Chief Justice of the Federation is, what is it? Center forward on the political spectrum. You know what I'm talking about? The Chief Justice of the Federation is an improbable scenario, but he is to be arraigned this morning, unless anything changes at the last moment, in which case we'll let you know he's to be arraigned because of going against guidelines of the Code of Conduct Tribunal. Now, yeah, nobody should be above the law, is what they say. But is it as simple as that, or are there other aspects? To try and help us understand this, we needed to get some legal minds. And Malaki Ugumadu is National President of Committee for the Defense of Human Rights. Thank you, as always, for coming on, Malaki.
I'm delighted to be back with you.
I really appreciate you coming on. Thank you very much. Chief Dr. Fasi Yusuf, he's also a lawyer and he's a communications consultant, and he keeps his eye on the polity. Thank you very much, Fasi, for coming on as well.
Thank you, Yori, and you're welcome back.
Indeed.
We missed you.
You can't believe how much I missed the whole thing. Indeed, compliments of the season. But now on to serious business. Why are we having a problem? Let's just start from if you want, the idealistic, the theoretical. Nobody's above the law in the very first instance. So if there is an allegation, and if it's serious enough, if it infringes against policy, pray, what are your ideas as to why there's now a big issue over this? After all, Justice Anoge, it is reported, has said that the whole matter in contention is little more than an oversight on my part. It was an oversight. I clean forgot about it, and so here it is, and that's that. What are your thoughts, Malaki?
That's a very creative way to start this discourse, because in the last 24, 48 hours, I have been in two minds. One, as a Nigerian, but deeply conflicted as a lawyer. The position of the law is clear, and I'm sure you, not being a lawyer, must have been following the debate to realize that there's a consensus around what the issues are. However, the soul of this country is also on trial.
I beg your pardon, when you say there's a consensus around what the issues are, I don't know. I didn't have that sense.
I will deconstruct that statement.
Because I didn't have that sense that there was a consensus.
Now the fact
yes, I do know that no less than 150 SANs have offered their services.
Correct.
So there must be some law issue that they think is worthy of pursuing.
And from my own monitoring strategies, on ground at the CCT, it's about 45 already.
Have actually showed up for service.
Yes. Now, that tells us, even in the legal profession, that there's a groundswell of consensus around the position that has been taken generally by members of that profession. That does not mean that there can be dissenting voices. Mm-hmm. But I speak about this situation also as a Nigerian, to wonder how we can wriggle out of this without serious damage, not just to the judiciary, which is most affected, but to even the economy and the image of the country. Now, it is important to realize that even as lawyers, my colleagues will bear me out, in the jurisprudence of law itself, the notion of justice as a concept takes a flight, evaporates, not at the point when you lose a case, but at the point when the public loses confidence in the process itself. As we speak, the president of the Nigerian Bar Association, a gentleman, well-respected, senior advocate of this country, is on trial on, fraud related case. The alter ego, the embodiment the symbol, the head, the arrowhead of the judiciary itself is to be arraigned. This alone is capable of infusing in the mind of this same public I talk about that ambivalence, that loss of hope and trust and confidence. That has a very profound implication.
I'm going to come back to you, Malaki, and I thank you very much for taking us up to this point. And Fasi, I wanted to, again, because one is trying to understand this from the basics. To whom much is given, much is expected is a trite, it's commonplace, everybody knows about that. And so when you are of such high levels, following from what Malaki was talking about, where there's a responsibility to keep intact the integrity of the place, that's why I said, to whom much is given, much is expected. If there's an infringement, surely, I don't know, speaking as an ordinary layman now, it has to be dealt with decisively so as not to affect the very integrity that is indispensable, quite frankly, to the smooth running of society.
Yeah, I will talk about discretion. That is number one. Number two, procedure. You see, what we were taught in our English class in the high school is that discretion is the better part of valor. And that anything that is devoid of procedure is, to every intent and purpose, unable to stand. Discretion in the sense that this is the head of a branch of government. Number one, judicial officer. So if it's to be tried or if it's to be investigated, like he said, it must not only be seen, but it must be manifestly seen to be in order. In the instant case, if you look at, by the time we get into the nitty-gritty, you discover that the whole thing is shrouded in trying to play to the gallery.
Okay.
Second,
Okay, trying to play to the gallery.
yes, because
were you going to address also the point that the CJ allegedly has
CGN.
said, CGN?
Yes.
Yes, thank
Allegedly.
you. CGN has allegedly said that it's an oversight where that a mountain is being made out of
I'm
an
not
anthill.
concerned about that. Because
But because
it is-
there was
it
an
is-
infringement
it's
of
his
the
own,
rules.
It's his own words. Well, he has not
Besides,
come out.
I think-
did you hear him say that or reported?
It was reported also
Reported,
that he
okay.
said that he was not even aware that the
Yes,
time
but-
frame was relevant
yes,
to
I'm
his
talking about-
declaration.
I'm talking about discretion now.
Bearing in mind when
I'm
the
talking
money...
I'm talking about discretion now. All those involved ought to have put on their thinking cap to be able to say, hey, let's start a while. Can we look at the political, legal, social, and image expediency of what we are doing?
of going ahead with this.
With this,
Of calling a
Yes.
person out.
yes. And without taking all the stakeholders into reckoning. We are now being told that the president is not aware. How is that possible? It means some people don't think the president is relevant and that at the end of the day, he does not bear full responsibility for the action and inaction of these people or for the recklessness of those who took up that decision, who took that decision to arraign the Chief Justice of a country without informing.
Does what you are saying mean that all those quote-unquote involved, as you put it, they are...
To my mind...
They did not understand that this is a no case. They should have thrown it out.
No,
It doesn't-
a
it
no
doesn't
case
include that.
is different. I'm talking about the expediency
Yeah, but okay.
I'm talking about the expediency.
About the expediency.
and the discretion.
And this is something we often criticize
Yes.
when we sit down and
Yes.
talk here about people acting according to expediency
Yes, yes.
in the face of the law.
Look, look, the scenario is different.
Okay.
The scenario is different. I mean, ordinarily, as we also told in our literature class, that look, when beggars die, there are no comments seen. But the heavens themselves lament the death of kings and princes. The point is this. This is number one judicial officer of the country.
Officer.
So if a matter is to be brought against him, for how long would the investigation take? Who are those to be informed? And when I look at the legal dimension to it, there's a Supreme Court judgment that says, look, a sitting judicial officer cannot be prosecuted unless he has been dismissed or the National Judicial Council has taken a decision. And as it is now, even though it has not been tried at the Supreme Court, but the applicant says, this is the situation, this is the position of the law. And you cannot, either as a prosecutor or as an investigator, go beyond what the law provides for. So that has not been done. And therefore, these people, because it's going to be politically suicidal and image damaging to the government. Because if at the end of the day...
And all of this is on procedure.
Procedure. And I also talk about discretion.
All of this is about procedure.
Yes.
And we've also used the word expediency.
And again, you know, as the law provides, anything that is built on nothing cannot stand.
So I
so
think
they
that
may not
was the point I was trying to clarify with you.
Yes.
Are you saying that all of this is nothing?
No, what they are trying to do
Okay.
is they are trying to embarrass the government of the day, the fifth columnist within the government. If the president is not aware, and if the president is not aware, then something was wrong with the system.
It's because I was going to go there. If the president is not aware, how were the fifth columnists able to find out what security checks did not find out? But
well, I imagine that my colleague has safely navigated these very murky waters. Don't forget where...
I am particularly concerned about the expediency part, though, but that can only be because of my, lack of knowledge on these matters.
Words in moments like this can lend themselves to controversies. But I like to believe that the point sought to be emphasized is that you might have not just a genuine case, a credible case, and mess it up.
Okay. And it is the nature of the law that, thing will be thrown out.
Such that
it must conform to certain rules and guidelines.
Such that in your head, as you conceived that idea, nurtured it, make attempt to deliver it, you might be thinking that you're right. But the procedure you choose to adopt can completely render all of those ideas nugatory in the eye of the law. And this is precisely what is about to happen.
And I think that's what you meant when you were talking about the, what was that word you used? A consensus
God bless
of
you.
opinion.
Now, because, I hope this country will survive all of this. The country is under the weight of very serious indiscretion. This indiscretion is not just political, some are judicial, some are cultural, and so on and so forth. I make this point because, Section 308 of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, 1999, as amended, is clear as to the category of persons that are immune from prosecution. The Chief Justice of Nigeria is not one of such persons. However, the office of the Chief Justice of Nigeria, pursuant to paragraph 21A specifically of the third schedule of the same 1999 Constitution, has, as it were, described the procedure of proceeding against him if you find any malfeasance or misconduct in the discharge of his judicial functions. And specifically talks about reference of that misconduct or alleged misconduct to the National Judicial Council. National Judicial Council is one of the executive bodies created under Section 153 of the Constitution. Yet, this same Chief Justice of Nigeria so pretends the National Judicial Council.
That complicates matters.
That would not have complicated any matter if they decided to follow that due process. Because as lawyers, it is a very simple issue to resolve. You cannot be a judge in your own case. So in such instance, it would have been natural that he will excuse himself. Indeed, he would be the one to decline presiding over such meetings. Once you did that, your course of action begins to assume a life of its own. Now we're almost having a still bet. Not because there was no fetus or a living organ, but because in the desperation of those trying to make a point out of this, they have placed the cart before the horse, and thereby, as it were, truncating, aborting one very potent example that would have put every person on the line. When the Inspector General of Police, I'm referring to Tafa Balogun,
Former Inspector General.
former Inspector
One
General,
of the former ones.
God bless you, was arraigned and tried and convicted. The signal was not just clear, it was abundantly clear that every person must sit up, particularly the heads of security agencies, to rub in the point that no person was above the law.
Above the law.
But we managed in that instance to navigate, as I said, these murky waters in such a way that we were able to deliver precisely the same point they wanted to achieve. That is not happening now. That is not to discountenance that it might be, because I don't imagine that an entire federal government would have rushed to court
Yes.
without finding anything. That will be suicidal in his words.
Well,
But I think the mistake is that of procedure.
Also complicating this story, because we can deal with very little more than rumors surrounding it. We heard that on the social media that it had also been suggested to the CJN to resign. And I was going to go there that, look, with this kind of a situation, I'm not saying with the justice, with the CJN in particular, but usually in other places there are people who will step forward or step aside, offer that I be investigated, or say that I have to step down, even if there are those well-meaning people who believe I could not be guilty of this. But the fact that this is being brought against me, I am obligated to, resign or whatever. None of such notions are coming through. And whereas I appreciate what both gentlemen have explained about procedure, no matter how anxious you are, you still don't want to mess up your own case by faulty procedure. The very fact that there is the perception of a case that needs to be properly presented, is that not damaging?
Mm-hmm. Well, unfortunately, I find myself unable to subscribe to your question or to your poster or to what you're trying to put forward. The point is this: when an allegation is made, it all depends on the damage you think is going to cause, or perhaps how is it perceived by the ordinary man out there. Mm-hmm. But in this particular case, even though it's a simple offense, but offense is an offense, but it's not been proven. And again, if by the time you allow any allegation to lead to the stepping aside of a top judicial officer, are you saying that the allegation made against the president, even though unproven, should lead to his stepping aside?
Okay.
I'm asking you that question.
Am I saying
the allegations made against the president, that his certificate is shrouded in secrecy or whatever, should that make the president to step aside?
Where earlier when I posed a similar question to you, you said that's different. And I also think this is different. And the difference here for your consideration is that allegedly the CGN has said that what they're talking about happened. Yes, there is a $3 million in one account somewhere. I forgot it.
Well, I think the CJN would know better.
Yes.
Than to say that.
So
once you take that with
I would admonish.
a sizable pinch of
sorry,
salt.
my brother. I would admonish that you will grant us indulgence to be very circumspect, because as we speak, this matter is already sub judice. That would mean that we can discuss generally.
I know, one doesn't want to go into the specifics.
God bless you. God bless you.
One can't.
But we have a country to protect. You know, it is touted, and even an elementary student of law will tell you that ignorance of the law is not an excuse. What constitutes a crime is not the notion you have about that act. It is that it has been described as such in a criminal legislation, and then punishment prescribed thereto. Full stop. Once it is so captured, it is a crime in the eye of the law. Whatever you say in defense becomes part of your, body of defense against the allegation or the trial. So precisely why I said the CJN, with due respect, would know better, assuming without conceding that he made that point. But please, Yori, it's becoming very difficult to think straight in this country. You would agree with me that this is the first time we're witnessing this. The mere information, and in this time and age where you have social media that picks up, in short, if it doesn't smell, it doesn't sell. So it travels so widely with such news. In the last 48 hours, the mere fact that the head of the Nigerian judiciary is about to be arraigned in a court of law sends very serious signal, not just to the international community, but to the Nigerian public, who are supposed to have their fate determined by the same, presumably, impartial judiciary. And I've made the earlier point that even the professional body to which my colleague and I belong has the alter ego, the president, in trial at the moment. A combination of these two scenarios leaves the judiciary as an institution terribly battered.
Indeed.
And I make the point,
Indeed,
by way of repetition, that look, that notion of justice we all have, it evaporates the very moment the ordinary man is, what are they doing there? Are you sure these people are serious? That is precisely where we are.
and this is where
And it has economic implications.
it does. And that's where I imagine we begin to think of concepts, odious concepts that we've discussed in the past in totally different circumstances about there being two levels of justice in this country. Now, at least more than one level of justice. One size doesn't fit all. A lot depends on who you are and those kind of issues. But concerning ourselves with what is before us at the moment, I think I take on board what you gentlemen have explained, that look, we're going to have to go by the rules, and an allegation is no more than that, and it hasn't been proven. And if they do go to court, I imagine 150 SANs, Malaki say, can actually testify or vouch for 40-something of them.
That's the information we have.
Yeah, that's the information. So
And that's sizable.
those people know what they're going to come and say. And there seems to be some outrage, because a lot of capital seems to be invested in the notion that this is the head of the judiciary. And so, right?
Not necessarily so.
But that's
No, the procedure is not being followed. It's not
Yes.
being adhered to.
But also, as Malaki said, we've never seen this before. It might have happened elsewhere, but it hasn't happened here. And
We saw it before.
okay, with
the Chief Justice of Nigeria.
Chief
No,
Justice
not
of
Chief Justice of
Nigeria.
Nigeria.
That's the
The
point.
Chief Justice
We
of
were talking
Nigeria.
about Chief Justice of-
The
not
Oga
justices
Patapata.
of Supreme-
No, without any senior.
Unless on the military dismissed with ignominy.
Not before.
So-
you have had justices of the Supreme Court, justices of the Court of Appeal. As a matter of fact, you have had judges dismissed,
Yes.
but
All of
Removed
that has
from
after
happened.
office.
removed from office.
Yes.
It's not taken to court.
Eh? No.
Not the Chief Justice taken
Well,
to court.
we've seen some justices of the Supreme Court taken to court,
Wait,
even
you are
if
saying the Chief Justice now.
even if it didn't eventually lead to anything. We're making the point that, look, it is easy to conceive these ideas, but the implications are such that you might not be able to fully control.
I hear you.
I-
And bearing in mind your caution that this matter actually, if depending on how we handle it, we could actually slip into the dangerous territory of sub judice, as you people say, and we don't want to do that. But
And it's assuming the coloration of ethnicity, which is another dangerous dimension. You see, my friend mentioned that aspect. That look, you see, this thing is going to the abyss of political destruction, and it's talking about this country not being the same at the end of the day.
yeah, I talked about different levels of justice for
Yes,
different
because
people.
five
Not
governors,
ethnicity.
coming out to denounce, because this is one of ours,
One of us.
our own man. This is the time we're producing the Chief Justice of the country.
I think that was very reckless and ill-advised. I'm from Delta State.
So you can imagine that.
I think it was
And
ill-advised.
again, for you to also know that the political dimension to it, the party affiliation, all the governors, PDP governors, the only governor that did not attend belongs to APC. So you can imagine. You see, this is why I talk about communication, which is very important.
Yes.
When you get yourself involved in some of this, look at the political implications of
But
what
we're
you're
also,
doing.
but we're also coming to this, perhaps, truism that there are no absolute truths then. We can't just be moving around as if there are absolute truths. That seems to be...
Are we also going to be
that seems to be
bound-
what you're explaining.
Are we also going to be bound always by looking and considering those political aspects?
But yes,
How then do we
political-
allow the full operationalization of the rule of law? The rule of law as a concept is such that envisages that I should not consider that this is Yori
Exactly.
when I ought to proceed against him. The Queen of Justice, as we're told, is blind. He only has the sword and the scale. The pendulum swings depending on the weight of evidence that is available to him. And it strikes regardless, regardless of who is involved.
But the problem here is that going by what you gentlemen have explained so competently,
Yes.
Lady Justice's blindfold has been removed in this instance.
no.
So that you shine your eye.
No,
and that is where you are now seeing where who comes from.
No,
And all of this kind of nonsense.
No,
That would-
we're only trying to analyze
That would be
the situation as it is.
But I'm saying
we have
that-
never said,
That would not
but I've
be-
never I
I'm
said,
not saying you're advocating that position.
that would not be a full apprehension of what I'm saying.
what we said was that, look, the procedure, I was saying that if the procedure is defective, you can
There
never
won't be
get
anything to stand on.
anything. And that's what we're
Even
saying.
if you have a good case.
Even if you have a good case. For example now, if the court lacks jurisdiction, because jurisdiction goes into the heart of the matter. And without jurisdiction, now nothing can be achieved.
So, actually, I've heard it suggested that it's possible that the Code of Conduct
Tribunal?
Tribunal.
will have to take a few steps back. Or whoever wants to, no, whoever wants to prosecute, in this case, need to perhaps take a few steps back, consider their position, and perhaps then...
Position of what?
Oh, well,
That is this whole procedure you're talking about.
Yes, of course.
That consider,
Of course.
going the long route, whatever.
There have been legions of advice.
I got to go on we'll come back and take some of that. Stay with us, please. We'll be right back. And of course, we'll include your calls. Welcome back, and we're looking at the CJN's travels, if that is what it is. We've been talking about this, and there's been some idea that the Code of Conduct Tribunal could possibly decline jurisdiction. We don't know that. Since there are all these things you explained, that there are processes, procedures, and rules that have to be followed from all aspects. That whole matter, is it possible for the CGN, knowing the law, he certainly must to know the law, if he knows that there can be that they don't have any jurisdiction, to simply not show up as has been advised?
Well, that will be setting a dangerous precedent. It is ever known to the Nigerian Criminal Justice Administration.
So we're stuck in
you
this.
must no. You
We're
must be there to raise that objection.
To go and raise that objection.
Yes. So what the 5 governors said yesterday, to my mind, is bringing anarchy to criminal justice in Nigeria, because at least we have 2 lawyers among these governors. The governor of Bayelsa State is a lawyer. The governor of Rivers State is a lawyer. So I wonder if, because of political expediency, due to political expediency, they've now raised issue that ordinary person should not raise. It's very sad. And that's why I talk about the political dimension, the ethnic dimension, and the other aspects we have not mentioned. Because to me, all these things are avoidable.
Whereas we're talking about all these dimensions, the principal matter, the pillar, is where it is. We're leaving that for the moment.
Yes.
So we can come back and deal with this pillar. If all the procedures, are fulfilled properly. It's interesting because, and now I can begin to probably get a better sense of why all the most senior lawyers in Nigeria are not taking this lightly, even though but it's not as if there's a uniformity of opinion on this whole matter.
The day lawyers agree.
It does not.
The day lawyers agree.
We'll be out of business.
We'll be out of business.
The same way the pastors are interpreting the same Bible.
So
In any case, the fact that you have 150 senior advocates
does not mean
that that's the gospel truth. I mean, if
no, it doesn't. But it does show the concern that body, that professional body.
That's why I used a seeming consensus. But if I were persuaded otherwise, I'll be very glad to stand here and tell you that they don't know what they're saying. Because I've also listened to a few senior advocates and I sharply disagree with them, including one of them who spoke on your sister television yesterday, advocating that the man should not even go there. Because in the eye of the law, there was no charge at all.
It's the court that should make that
pronouncement. It's the court. It does not lie in his
Exactly, you can't do that. Mr. ODEBIYI, good morning in IKEJA.
Good morning, Uncle Yori.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning to the panelists in the house.
Thank you very much for calling in.
God bless you. I've been feeling nauseous since yesterday when I started reading the comments and hearing people concerning this CJN matter. People have completely abandoned the substance and shaping shadows. Everyone that I've been hearing comments, they have not talked about the veracity of these claims. They have not talked about the seriousness of having the number 1 legal officer of the Federation enmeshed in this kind of thing. All they have been concerned about is it should have been referred to NJC. It should have been referred to NJC first. How did we become this low? When I listen to a lot of advocates saying that this is no case, all of them are offering themselves saying they want to defend this thing, they want to defend the CJN, it is an affront on the judiciary. I just shudder. Okay, now that they are saying that the NJC should have been the first person, body to have been referred to, are we saying that in all honesty, from what you and I know, that the NJC will not have, will have done justice in this matter? Are we saying so that the NJC, the 95% of the members of the agency hold their position to the CJN. The CJN appoints most of the members of the NJC. Are you now telling me that the NJC will have gone ahead to deal with this matter dispassionately?
Okay.
So,
That,
what I am saying,
we have
we
to
should
assume
consider about
that all other
the
things
limit
being
of
equal.
discrimination.
Sorry, sir. I think you have to assume that all other things being equal, the NJC can be relied upon to do the needful.
No,
If we then arrive at a situation which is
Point
what,
of education, please. The CJN does not appoint members of the council. The constitution does.
the Constitution does.
Yes.
No, the point he made is that most of the members of the council
Are
owe
under
their
him.
allegiance to
Yes,
the CJN.
and that the
And
system, the country will not
if you
get
look-
justice
if you look-
go
if you
by
look
this.
Yeah,
closely-
but my colleague said that, look, how he knows that if such a matter comes before the council,
CGN,
he should excuse himself.
Yes,
In any case, but by way of
we assume he
by
would.
way of
you know,
information, if
exactly.
you look closely at the appointment procedure of that council, you will see the very heavy role that the CJN himself plays,
Exactly.
and the number of contributions he made in the composition of that. So, but let's leave that.
But
because
as
that's not,
Mr. Debbie said, for reasons you have explained, they were ignoring what is seen as the substance of the matter, and then looking at how it should properly be handled. Good morning, Mr. George. Sorry for keeping you waiting.
Good morning, Uncle Yori. Welcome back.
Indeed, thank you very much.
Very happy to have you back. I was already planning to carry placard.
Nifemi was doing a great job, though.
Yes, it was.
good guy.
Uncle Yori, recall my comments when this CGN was appointed. I told you he was the wrong material. But people like Barrister Bani and the rest, they are coming there every day to shout ethnicity. The merit was not considered. This case that you are seeing now, Uncle Yori, pillars of it were already around at the time of his appointment. In fact, the other, those judges that were arrested, he was supposed to be one of them. This I know. Now people are talking about ethnicity, like Mr. Odebi pointed out. They are not talking about the substance. Did he do these things or he did not? Whether the head of judiciary of a country is on trial, is hard in another country, doesn't preclude us from sanitizing our system to ensure that only the right people are in places. I want anybody to prove to me that this man is not guilty. Not telling me where I'm from the South, not telling me where he comes from. Some people say he should not go to court. Is he above the law? He's not above the law. What I'm concerned with is these allegations are weighty. How can you tell me you forgot that you have $3 million in one account? That means you have billions to be able to forget 3 million. That is what you are telling me, and you have to prove to me that you are innocent and you are clean. Those governors who are saying he should not come for trial, you leave them. Uncle Yori, let me ask this question, if I'm not saying too long. Why is it that it is only members of the opposition that are concerned about his trial? That shows that I'm being vindicated. He has been working for the opposition. Good morning, Uncle Yori.
Good morning, and thank you very much.
What a way to end.
But gentlemen, that point, I wonder, both of you are lawyers, and that's why we wanted you. We wanted people of your type. And so you've explained it, how this is important. But that substantial matter is where the ordinary, non-learned member of the public is, because that's the only thing he can grab. He can't grab all the other truisms, legal truisms that you have spoken about. But the one he can grab is what Mr. George has just finished with, and Mr. Debbie before suggested. Wait, that matter, did it happen or not?
Would you remember how I started my preliminary remarks? I said that I'm deeply conflicted. And that, look, you speak as a lawyer, it is clear. You speak as a Nigerian, you will be totally enmeshed in a thought process that pinches you against your profession. Now, because...
But if this, sorry sir, if this was a classroom project, firstly you teach law, right? So
I teach media law.
Oh, you teach media law, okay. But both of you have been through law school and all of that. If this was a media project, would the lecturers, the professors be asking us to also consider in this whole subject the numerous aspects that you have brought to bear on this conversation. Would teachers also,
Well, it all depends on the approach.
as a classroom subject?
It all depends on the approach of the lecturer and what the lecturer is aiming at.
Okay.
Is he looking at the procedure?
Okay.
Is he looking at the expediency?
Okay.
Is he looking at the Nigerian in us? Because he continues to talk about as a Nigerian. To me, there are many factions of being a Nigerian. It all depends on your standpoint.
Maybe as a Nigerian, but maybe we need, because it's a legal
so many
matter,
meanings
we
have
need
been
to
attached
talk
to
as lawyers.
So many meanings have been attached to the word Nigerian.
Okay, yeah, one moment, sir. Yakub in Dokwemu has called in. Good morning, Yakub.
Mr. Jory, welcome back. Good morning, sir.
Good morning, sir. Thank you very much for calling
Good
in.
morning to Mr. Malak and then Dr. Fazi.
Yes.
Good morning.
Mr. Jory, you see, I think I agree with the two wise men in the studio this morning. Yes, both of them have spoke very well. And then what they are trying to say is that it's not that to arrange the CJN is bad, but the procedure must be followed. If it is truly that the procedure did not follow, who are we to blame? That is point number one. Number two, the first caller said something that is very, very paramount to me. If it is truly that if you have anything against the CJN of the Federation, you have to follow the procedure, sending the petition to the hierarchy. And then, who is going to, those people that are going to speak on the case? Is it not the same CJN?
Okay, Yakub. Because, okay, thank you very much for calling in, Yakub. Yakub, I was just a bit concerned about your phraseology about if you have anything against the CJN. I don't think it's about having anything against the person of the CJN. I think people are looking at the rule book and are saying, well, anybody in this position has to fulfill 1, 2, 3. I am seeing that 3 has not been done. No, I don't think it's about having anything against the CJN. It's just that just made me a bit uncomfortable because I don't know if that is it.
It can even be submitted that all these things we are seeing, the whole Ulabalu, is about designing the case to fail.
Okay.
So then why start?
Okay.
Why start?
So, because to my mind,
And then when you're hearing all the
to my
complications
mind,
of Mr. President is totally unaware.
It's elementary thing we learn in the university, at the law school, that before a court can assume jurisdiction, it must be vested in it. But if you know that this court cannot handle this case, why do you have to do it? Why do you have to take it there? Now, the Court of Appeal has said this much. So why are you now embarking on a journey of no return or a journey that will lead you to nowhere?
Okay, let's hear it from Ehi, calling in, I believe, is it Victoria Island? Good morning, Ehi.
Good morning, Uncle Yori.
Thank you very much for calling in, sir.
Welcome back. You look fresh.
Oh, thank you very much. Thank you very much. You sound fresh
surely
yourself.
he does.
Let's be very serious with this matter.
Thank you very much.
The truth, a lot of people are calling with different interests in mind. But let's look at it holistically, the truth of the matter. Why is it now they are fighting this judge? Why now? Because sometimes in the country, there are things that will come up. There's a way country will handle it because why? Not to instigate some kind of reaction from other people. This country is like a glass sitting on a bomb. We are in different political problems here and there. Here we are trying to do this to a judge. Other tribes are reacting. This one is reacting. Especially people that are calling here and people that are sitting here. We should find a way to make Nigerians start to rethink. One, if you say this judge is corrupt, why now? Why now? Political electoral season, why now? This same judge, if you now look at the history of the judge, there are a lot of connections to this judge to so people that are involved. Why now? There is a government, there is a way government do things, you keep it for another time. So at least for peace to reign. One day things will go wrong, everybody will be asking how did it come? It's just like this. Every violence in everywhere started with this people. Maybe only one contribution from one person like this from your studio can contribute a lot. It can cause a lot of havoc. So why not? They should leave the judge matter first and let us proceed with the case we are doing more important things.
Okay.
Is it the only, okay, where are the judges that were they raided their house, they arrested all of them? Where are they? What happened to them? How many of them were convicted? Why are we not talking about that now? Why is this judge matter so important to Nigeria now?
Okay, Ahi, thank you very much for calling in. Appreciate your call. You see, it has been explained before. Now this matter is being complicated. Even depending on when we started reading about this whole matter, I even read, because you can read a lot if you have the time, in newspapers, on social media, that, by the way, the president didn't even like the man, so much so that he was there in an acting capacity, and it was not until Mr. President was out of the country that they could submit his name for confirmation. And so, you see, stories will be made up, and we're still missing the substance of the matter, which I understand all the principles you're bringing to bear, that a $3 million sum is involved.
Allegedly involved.
Allegedly, I beg your pardon. A $3 million sum allegedly involved. Well, you know, that in the mind of the ordinary Nigerian, not lawyer, in the mind of an ordinary Nigerian, he begins to think of irrelevancy. Say that, but what was he selling to get $3 million? Now, it's an irrelevancy. I understand. That's why I say, as an ordinary Nigerian. So you begin to now look at the whole situation, and now I understand. I can imagine when people say that, no, we mustn't let this happen. We're going to come out in all the... And so you have 150 people coming out saying that if you need us pro bono, we are here.
Look, I said it, and I will repeat.
It's complicated.
I said this, I will repeat. I think there are two issues involved.
Yeah.
Discretion and procedure.
Discretion and procedure.
Simplicity.
Mr. Moreha, good morning.
Good morning, Yori.
Thank you very much for coming in, for calling in.
Thank you very much. Can I go ahead with my contribution?
Oh, please. Go ahead, please.
Yeah, Uncle Yori, good morning. Thank you very much. Now, Uncle Yori, let's call a spade a spade. There is no time specified by the law that you can prosecute a case. So if anybody should come up with a question by saying that, why now? Which they should tell me the time that is right for you to ask questions when a crime is committed. There is no time you cannot ask questions when a crime is committed.
How about discretion?
Sorry?
Discretion.
And procedure.
Well, I don't think there is any discretion. A crime is a crime. Once you commit it, and any time that you discover the crime that is being committed, question must be asked. That is one. Two, people have forgotten. I mean, even though that this man is the Chief Justice of the Federation, no problem about that. But an offense has been committed. How can a man tell you that he forgot about 3 million in his account and he doesn't know?
Dollars,
is it possible to forget such amount of money, that humongous amount of money in one's account? And you tell me you don't know that you forgot that in your account? And most importantly, the most annoying aspect of it is that why the gang up from the South government? Why do we have to tribalize everything in Nigeria? Why the gang up that somebody is being prosecuted, therefore is a witch hunt? I think the South should call themselves to order. Anybody could be prosecuted. Nobody is above the law in this country. That is my contribution. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Going back to this whole matter of the substance of the matter, it is known what the substance is, but the whole conversation now is revolving around, without prejudice to what you refer to as the substance of the matter, there are procedures.
That's the problem.
There are procedures.
The $3 million you talked about.
Alleged $3 million.
Alleged $3 million. Assuming for the purpose of this argument, that $3 million is warehoused in a particular property, and suddenly that building is caught up by fire. How would you pull down that entire building, or you move straight within the time frame that you have to at least get at that money? So at the heart of the mistake that the federal government has made, to now deny Nigeria as a state the opportunity of dealing with this kind of matter once again, is their refusal to follow known law, known procedure. That procedure has been established. The case was reported in March. I have a copy here. In March 2018,
there are people who
in
probably consider all
Ngajua
of
against
this
the
as
Federal
very
Republic.
inept.
Now,
You know.
now, sorry, I like to make
But
the
sorry, sir. Let me just bring in this call from Port Harcourt. I think it might be our last caller. Good morning, Port Harcourt. I didn't catch the name. Someone's Sembus in Port Harcourt.
Good morning.
Good morning. Thank you for calling in.
Okay, I'm calling from Port Harcourt.
Okay.
Yeah, my contribution to the issue going on is this. Yeah, you said it, yes. Yeah, good morning. Okay. I think Nigeria, when Yaradua was alive, I remember that man making one comment that he would like to strengthen the rule of law. If we fight corruption without following the rule of law strictly, it becomes anarchy. There is no two ways about it. So if we are to follow corruption fighting the way it's supposed to be, let us follow the sequence. Should somebody be arraigned or investigated before arraignment, if there is a law that says, report to this body before you arrest the person, we should follow it. If it is not followed, it becomes anarchy. And that is why the lawyers and the judges that were investigated the other time were not convicted. Because the law was not followed. And it will continue to happen that way. We are not a military regime that somebody will wake up and use one degree to, prosecute anybody he wants. If an offense is committed, if we don't follow the rule of law, I don't think we'll get anywhere. It's important we do things accordingly so that the Constitution will be the guiding principle instead of individual opinion. That is my take.
Indeed. Well, thank you very much for calling in. I really don't know what more to say about this whole matter because we've heard it from the lawyerly side, but we, the masses, we're looking at how are they going to resolve this whole matter, and we're working on changing this society.
some of the people who have advised, some of those senior advocates, I can speak about Mr. Femi Falana, SAN, who has said the federal government should withdraw these charges. Those are cautionary statements. Embedded in that statement is not the fact that there's no transgression. It is that, look, if you intend to deal with this situation, take the proper steps to get the result you desire. So, and I think that this is where the masses you are talking about, it is that, look,
so if the case were to be withdrawn,
yes,
it can be.
You
can
can
clean up your
start
act,
it again.
and then we approach.
Look, those who have brought the preliminary objections are not doing it because there is no substance. No, they are doing it because as a technical procedural.
Unless we set a bad precedent.
Except you do it, you are not able to move to the next stage, and it's brought in limine.
Okay.
Like I said,
yes.
I'm getting to think that those who are instituting this matter before CCT, they are designing it ab initio to fail. And it will be boomerang. Because at the end of the day, they will not have achieved anything. At the end of the day, they will have elevated the CJN as somebody that was being persecuted. At the end of the day, you have lost the case. At the end of the day, you've lost your image. At the end of the day, you're creating a dangerous. You are eating the polity.
I think we're going to have to leave it there. It's a delicate matter, especially as it's been explained that, look, it's not as clear-cut as black and white. That much has been said. We'll leave it there. We'll even find out if indeed jurisdiction has been declined or not declined, what those all the, in short, what has happened today. Maybe people who are not on this program are seeing what's happened. Maybe we'll be looking at that tomorrow, but thank you very much, gentlemen. Malaki Ugumadu, National President, CDHR.
Thank
and,
you.
So he's a president?
Yes, he's National President. And Chief Dr. Fasi Yusuf, Communications Consultant. Thank you very much. Thank you, gentlemen. Thank you. So that's our program. Please join us tomorrow for a fresh edition. I am Yori Polani. Bye-bye for now.